The dawn was still breaking, a thin veil of pink smearing the horizon, when my daughter, Lily, laced up her sneakers and slipped out for a morning jog. At 17, she was a creature of habit, her ponytail swinging like a metronome as she ran through our gated community, earbuds blasting her favorite indie tracks. But today, the Harmony Oaks Homeowners Association, those self-appointed guardians of suburban perfection, decided her solitary run was a crime. They called the police, claiming she violated their sacred no unaccompanied minors rule, and now she sat in a holding cell, her defiance smoldering like a fire they couldn't stamp out. I, Judge Eleanor Hart, would face her in court today, my gavel heavier than ever, knowing the truth could unravel everything we'd built. Lily wasn't just any teenager. She was my heart, my rebellion against the sterile order of Harmony Oaks. This community, with its manicured lawns and whispered hierarchies, had always felt like a gilded cage. I'd moved us here after my husband's death 5 years ago, chasing safety, stability, a place where grief couldn't follow. But Harmony Oaks had its own rules, enforced by Karen Whitmore, the HOA president whose smile was as sharp as her clipboard. Karen had watched Lily grow up, her eyes narrowing at every skateboard trick, every loud laugh, every moment my daughter dared to be free. That morning, I was sipping coffee when my phone buzzed with a call. "Mrs. Hart, it's Officer Daniels. We've detained Lily for trespassing and violating HOA regulations." My mug froze halfway to my lips. Trespassing? In our own neighborhood? The officer's voice was clipped, professional, but I could hear Karen's influence behind it, her smug certainty that she'd finally caught Lily in the act. I didn't argue. I hung up, grabbed my keys, and drove to the station, my judicial robe folded neatly in the back seat. At the precinct, Lily sat on a bench, her knees pulled to her chest, her eyes blazing with a mix of fury and fear. "They said I was a threat, Mom," she spat, her voice trembling. "A threat for running at 6 a.m. I wanted to hold her to promise I'd fix this, but the weight of my role pressed down. As a judge, I was supposed to be impartial, a pillar of reason. But as a mother, I was a storm, ready to tear down the walls of this absurd system. Karen was there, of course, her blonde bob immaculate, her lips pursed in righteous indignation. "Eleanor, I'm sorry it came to this," she said, her tone dripping with false sympathy. "But rules are rules. We can't have kids wandering alone, causing trouble." Trouble. The word stung. Lily wasn't trouble. She was a straight-A student, a volunteer at the animal shelter, a girl who'd lost her father and still found reasons to smile. But to Karen, she was a glitch in the HOA's perfect algorithm. I drove home in silence, Lily's defiance mirrored in the tight set of my jaw. The trial was set for noon, and I'd be presiding. The irony was bitter. I'd spent years upholding justice, but now justice felt like a trap. Harmony Oaks wasn't just a neighborhood. It was a microcosm of control, where conformity was currency and dissent was punished. Karen and her HOA board wielded their bylaws like a scepter, and I'd let it slide, believing it was just petty bureaucracy. But this was personal. In my chambers, I reviewed the case file. The charges were laughable trespassing, disturbing the peace, violating HOA Rule 47B. No unaccompanied minors under 18 may use community pathways before 7 a.m. The evidence? A grainy security camera still of Lily jogging, her shadow stretching across the pavement. Karen's written complaint claimed Lily's unsupervised presence posed a safety risk. I wanted to laugh, but the ache in my chest wouldn't let me. This wasn't about safety. It was about power. The courtroom was packed when I took the bench. Neighbors, HOA members, even a local reporter word had spread that Judge Hart's daughter was in trouble. Lily stood at the defendant's table, her chin high, her public defender, a young man named Tom, looking out his depth. Karen sat in the front row, her eyes glinting with triumph. I banged the gavel, the sound echoing like a gunshot in my head. "Court is in session," I said, my voice steady despite the chaos inside me. The prosecution, a junior DA named Melissa, presented the case with clinical precision. The defendant, Lily Hart, knowingly violated Harmony Oaks' HOA regulations, endangering the community's order and safety. She called Karen to the stand, who recounted the morning with theatrical flair. Lily's reckless jogging, her defiant attitude when confronted, her disregard for authority. I watched my daughter's face, her lips twitching with the urge to speak, but Tom whispered something, and she stayed silent. When it was Tom's turn, he argued passionately but clumsily. Lily was exercising, not committing a crime. This is an overreach by the HOA punishing a teenager for living her life. He cited freedom of movement, the absurdity of criminalizing a morning run, but I could see the jury half of them Harmony Oaks residents shifting uncomfortably. They lived under the same rules, paid the same dues, bowed to the same pressures. To them, Lily's defiance was a threat to their carefully curated world. I wanted to scream that this was madness, that my daughter wasn't a criminal. But I couldn't. My role demanded neutrality, and every eye in the room was on me, waiting for a crack in my armor. I called a recess, retreating to my chambers to breathe. There, I found a note slipped under my door and signed but unmistakably Karen's handwriting. Do the right thing, Eleanor. Uphold the rules. My blood boiled. She thought she could intimidate me, the judge, her neighbor, her supposed friend. Back in court, Lily took the stand. Her voice was clear, unwavering. I wasn't hurting anyone. I was running like I do every morning. If that's a crime, then this place isn't a home, it's a prison. The room went silent, her words hanging like a challenge. I saw nods from some jurors, frowns from others. Karen's face tightened, her fingers clutching her purse. I wanted to applaud my daughter, but the gavel in my hand felt like a shackle. The trial dragged on, each side digging in. Tom called neighbors who testified to Lily's character, but the prosecution countered with HOA board members who painted her as a repeat offender skateboarding in the cul-de-sac, playing music too loud. Now this. The jury deliberated for hours, and I sat in my chambers, staring at the case file, the weight of my dual roles crushing me. As a mother, I saw my daughter's spirit being crushed. As a judge, I saw a system I'd sworn to uphold, now twisted to serve petty grudges. When the jury returned, the foreman, a retiree from Harmony Oaks, stood. We find a defendant guilty on all counts. The room spun. Lily's face crumpled, though she quickly masked it with defiance. Karen's lips curled into a faint smile. I wanted to overturn the verdict, to declare a mistrial, but I knew the law. The charges, however minor, were upheld by the HOA's contract, which every resident, including me, had signed. My hands were tied. Sentencing was my responsibility. I could fine her, assign community service, or dismiss the charges with a warning. But anything less than punishment would be seen as bias, a judge favoring her daughter. The room watched, waiting for my decision. I looked at Lily, her eyes pleading not for leniency, but for justice. I thought of her father, how he taught her to stand tall, to fight for what was right. I thought of the HOA, its rules strangling the life out of our community. And I thought of myself, caught between duty and love. Lily Hart, I began, my voice cracking. You are hereby sentenced to 100 hours of community service to be served within Harmony Oaks. Gasps rippled through the room. Karen's smile vanished. Lily's eyes widened, then softened with understanding. Community service meant she'd stay in the neighborhood, under their noses, a constant reminder of her defiance. It was the only rebellion I could offer within the law's constraints. But the true punishment came later. That night, Lily packed a bag. I can't stay here, Mom, she said, her voice steady but broken. This place, it's suffocating me. I begged her to reconsider, to fight from within, but she shook her head. You're part of it, too. You chose their rules over me. Her words cut deeper than any gavel strike. By morning, she was gone, leaving a note. I love you, but I need to be free. I sat in our silent house, the HOA's rule book on the table, its pages mocking me. I'd upheld the law, preserved my reputation, but lost my daughter. Karen's victory was hollowed, won the battle, but ignited a war. Neighbors began questioning the HOA's overreach, whispering about change. But for me, it was too late. The gavel had fallen, and the price was my family. Harmony Oaks stood pristine, its lawns flawless, but my home was empty, its heart gone.